Now Yahweh said to Abram, Get out of your country, and from your relatives, and from your father's house, to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation. I will bless you, and make your name great. You will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. In you will all the families of the earth be blessed. So Abram went, as Yahweh had spoken to him. Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Abram took Sarai his wife, Lot his brother's son, all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls who they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And to the land of Canaan they came. Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, to the oak of Moreh. The Canaanite was then in the land. Yahweh appeared to Abram and said, I will give this land to your seed. He built an altar there to Yahweh, who appeared to him. He left from there to the mountain on the east of Bethel and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to Yahweh and called on the name of Yahweh. Abram traveled, going on still toward the south. There was a famine in the land. Abram went down into Mitzrayim to live as a foreigner there, for the famine was sore in the land. It happened, when he was come near to enter into Mitzrayim, that he said to Sarai his wife, See now, I know that you are a beautiful woman to look on. It will happen, when the Mitzrayim will see you, that they will say, This is his wife. They will kill me, but they will save you alive. Please say that you are my sister, that it may be well with me for your sake, and that my soul may live because of you. It happened that when Abram had come into Mitzrayim, the Mitzrayim saw that the woman was very beautiful. The princes of Paro saw her, and praised her to Paro, and the woman was taken into Paro's house. He dealt well with Abram for her sake. He had sheep, and oxen, and male donkeys, and men servants, and maidservants, and female donkeys, and camels. Yahweh plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that you have done to me? Why didn't you tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say, She is my sister, so that I took her to be my wife? Now therefore, see your wife, take her, and go your way. Pharaoh gave men charge concerning him, and they brought him on the way, and his wife, and all that he had. Abram went up out of Mitzrayim, he, his wife, all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. He went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. There Abram called on the name of Yahweh. Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. The land was not able to bear them, that they might live together, for their substance was great, so that they could not live together. There was a strife between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanite and the Perizzite lived then in the land. Abram said to Lot, Please let there be no strife between me and you, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are relatives. Isn't the whole land before you? Please separate yourself from me. If you go to the left hand, then I will go to the right, or if you go to the right hand, then I will go to the left. Lot lifted up his eyes, and saw all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere before Yahweh destroyed Sodom and Amorah, like the garden of Yahweh, like the land of Mitzrayim, as you go to Zoar. So Lot chose the plain of the Jordan for himself. Lot traveled east, and they separated themselves, the one from the other. Avram lived in the land of Canaan, And Lot lived in the cities of the plain, and moved his tent as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinners against Yahweh. Yahweh said to Abraham, after Lot was separated from him, Now lift up your eyes, and look from the place where you are, northward and southward, and eastward and westward. For all the land which you see I will give to you and to your offspring forever. I will make your offspring as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then your seed may also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land, in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it to you. Abraham moved his tent, and came and lived by the oaks of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built an altar there to Yahweh. It happened in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim, that they made war with Berah, king of Sodom, and with Birsha, king of Amorah, Shinav, king of Adamah, and Shemever, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same as Zoar. All these joined together in the valley of Siddim, the same as the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Kedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year Kedorlaomer came, and the kings who were with him, and struck the Rephaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, and the Zuzim in Ham, and the Emim in Shavah Kiriathaim, and the Hori in their Mount Seir to El Paran, which is by the wilderness. They returned and came to En Mishpat, the same as Kadesh, and struck all the country of the Amaleki, and also the Amori that lived in Hatatzazon Tamar. There went out of the king of Sodom, and the king of Amorah, and the king of Adamah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same as Zoar. And they set the battle in array against them in the valley of Siddim, against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against the 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits, and the kings of Sodom and Amorah fled, and they fell there, and those who remained fled to the mountain. They took all the goods of Sodom and Amorah, and all their food, and went their way. They took Lot, Abraham's brother's son, who lived in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. One who had escaped came and told Abraham the Hebrew. Now he lived by the oaks of Mamre, the Amori, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, and these were allies of Abraham. When Abraham heard that his relative was taken captive, he led forth his trained men, born in his house, 318, and pursued as far as Dan. He divided himself against them by night, he and his servants, and struck them, and pursued them to Hovah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. He brought back all the goods, and also brought back his relative Lot, and his goods, and the women also, and the people. The king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Kedorlaomer, and the kings who were with him, at the valley of Shaveh, the same as the king's valley. Melchizedek, king of Shalem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was Kohen of El Elyon. He blessed him and said, Blessed be Abraham of El Elyon, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be El Elyon, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. Abraham gave him 1/10 of all. The king of Sodom said to Abraham, Give me the people, and take the goods to yourself. Abraham said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand to Yahweh El Elyon, possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take a thread, nor a shoe latchet, nor anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abraham rich, except only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of men who went with me. Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre, let them take their portion. After these things, the word of Yahweh came to Avram in a vision, saying, Don't be afraid, Avram. I am your shield, your exceedingly great reward. Avram said, Yahweh Elohim, what will you give me, seeing I go childless, and he who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus? Avram said, Behold, to me you have given no seed, and behold, one born in my house is my heir. Behold, the word of Yahweh came to him, saying, This man will not be your heir, but he who will come forth out of your own body will be your heir. Yahweh brought him outside and said, Look now toward the sky and count the stars, if you are able to count them. He said to Avram, So shall your seed be. He believed in Yahweh, and he reckoned it to him for righteousness. He said to him, I am Yahweh, who brought you out of Ur of the Kasdim to give you this land to inherit it. He said, Yahweh Elohim, how will I know that I will inherit it? He said to him, Take me a heifer 3 years old, a female goat 3 years old, a ram 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. He took him all these, and divided them in the middle, and laid each half opposite the other, but he didn't divide the birds. The birds of prey came down on the carcasses, and Avram drove them away. When the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell on Avram. Now terror and great darkness fell on him. He said to Avram, Know for sure that your seed will live as foreigners in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them. They will afflict them 400 years. I will also judge that nation whom they will serve. Afterward they will come out with great substance. But you will go to your fathers in shalom. You will be buried in a good old age. In the 4th generation they will come here again, for the iniquity of the Amoree is not yet full. It came to pass, when the sun went down, and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a flaming torch passed between these pieces. In that day Yahweh made a covenant with Avram, saying, To your seed have I given this land, from the river of Mitzrayim to the great river, the river Parat, the Kinim, the Kenizi, the Kadmonizi, the Hitti, the Perizi, the Rephaim, the Amoree, the Canaanim, the Girgashi, and the Yebusi. Now Sarai, Avram's wife, bore him no children. She had a handmaid, a Mitzrian, whose name was Hagar. Sarai said to Avram, See now, Yahweh has restrained me from bearing. Please go into my handmaid. It may be that I will obtain children by her. Avram listened to the voice of Sarai. Sarai, Avram's wife, took Hagar the Mitzrian, her handmaid, after Avram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to Avram her husband to be his wife. He went into Hagar, and she conceived. When she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. Sarai said to Avram, This wrong is your fault. I gave my handmaid into your bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. Yahweh judge between me and you. But Avram said to Sarai, Behold, your maid is in your hand. Do to her whatever is good in your eyes. Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she fled from her face. The angel of Yahweh found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. He said, Hagar, Sarai's handmaid, where did you come from? Where are you going? She said, I am fleeing from the face of my mistress Sarai. The angel of Yahweh said to her, Return to your mistress, and submit yourself under her hands. The angel of Yahweh said to her, I will greatly multiply your seed, that they will not be numbered for multitude. The angel of Yahweh said to her, Behold, you are with child, and will bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because Yahweh has heard your affliction. He will be like a wild donkey among men. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. He will live opposite all of his brothers. She called the name of Yahweh, who spoke to her, You are an Elohim who sees. For she said, Have I even stayed alive after seeing him? Therefore the well was called Bir Lahai-roi. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. Hagar bore a son for Avram. Avram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bore, Yishmael. Avram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abraham. When Abraham was 99 years old, Yahweh appeared to Abraham and said to him, I am El Shaddai. Walk before me and be blameless. I will make my covenant between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly. Abraham fell on his face. Elohim talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with you. You will be the father of a multitude of nations. Neither will your name any more be called Abram, but your name will be Abraham. For the father of a multitude of nations have I made you. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you. Kings will come out of you. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you throughout their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be an Elohim to you and to your seed after you. I will give to you and to your seed after you the land where you are traveling, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. I will be their Elohim. Elohim said to Abraham, As for you, you will keep my covenant, you and your seed after you, throughout their generations. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me and your seed after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin. It will be a token of a covenant between me and you. He who is 8 days old will be circumcised among you, every male throughout your generations. He who is born in the house or bought with money of any foreigner who is not of your seed. He who is born in your house and he who is bought with your money must be circumcised. My covenant will be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. The uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. Elohim said to Abraham, As for Sarai your wife, you shall not call her name Sarai, but her name will be Sarah. I will bless her, and moreover, I will give you a son by her. Yes, I will bless her, and she will be a mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Will a child be born to him who is 100 years old? Will Sarah, who is 90 years old, give birth? Abraham said to Elohim, Oh, that Ishmael might live before you. Elohim said, No, but Sarah your wife will bear you a son. You shall call his name Yitzhak. I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant for his seed after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. He will become the father of 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant I establish with Yitzhak, whom Sarah will bear to you at this set time in the next year. When he finished talking with him, Elohim went up from Abraham. Abraham took Ishmael his son, all who were born in his house, and all who were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the same day as Elohim had said to him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the same day both Abraham and Ishmael his son were circumcised. All the men of his house, those born in the house, and those bought with money of a foreigner, were circumcised with him.